Our next speaker is Kaitlyn C., and Kaitlyn is going to share with us her experience as both a user and provider of healthcare.
Imagine if someone broke into your house, but your guard dog bit you instead of the intruder. Well, this isn't just a thought experiment. This is my reality. Now, I don't have a vicious guard dog, but I do have a vicious immune system. Soon after I started college, I was diagnosed with a rare disease called ITP, where my immune system mistakenly attacks my platelets. Platelets are cell fragments that are important for stopping bleeding when we get injured. You may not realize it, but we get micro injuries every day as we bump into things or even just move around. This isn't a problem for most people because your platelets patch up these injuries to keep you from bleeding. But my problem is that my immune system attacks my platelets, so I may not have enough to keep me from bleeding if I got injured. Now, this was difficult for me as a college student, but one thing was for certain. I didn't want to let ITP hold me back from pursuing my dream of becoming a doctor. ITP is just something I silently fought under the surface. I wore long sleeves and pants to hide the ugly bruises that randomly showed up on my skin. I wore adult diapers to school during my period to keep me from bleeding onto my chair during long lectures. Sometimes it became hard to think and function when I bled too much. But still, I pushed through my studies and volunteered at a cancer center, and taking care of patients who were much sicker than I was kept me from feeling sorry for myself and motivated me to keep going. Over time, however, my condition worsened. My immune system had spun out of control, so my doctor turned to more aggressive treatments. The goal was to weaken my immune system so it couldn't attack my platelets anymore. My doctor ordered immunotherapy, the same type used to treat blood cancers. So from caring for patients in the cancer center, I ended up in the infusion chair myself. And those infusions made me feel awful. But it all felt worthwhile when my platelet count started to get better. When I finished treatment, my bruising and bleeding symptoms significantly improved. And I remember thinking, wow, this is what it feels like to be normal? My platelet counts remained stable, so my checkups became less and less frequent. And boy, I made the most out of my newfound energy and freedom. I did cancer immunology research here at the Edwards campus, and then I started attending medical school at the University of Kansas School of Medicine. Once I had some medical training under my belt, I started volunteering as a student physician at a free clinic in the Kansas City metro area that provides free care to in-need populations. It felt like a full circle moment to be diagnosing and treating patients after having been a patient myself. I was glad to leave my ITP chapter behind me. Or so I thought. My classmates and I happened to be studying blood diseases at the time, and while my classmates casually read about the symptoms, I was experiencing them for myself. I started noticing the ugly bruises again, and my periods got heavier and heavier. Now knowing more about ITP as a medical student, I knew I needed to get checked. But ironically, even if I spent most of my waking hours on a hospital campus learning how to take care of other people's health, I hardly had time to take care of my own health. So I bled heavily for over a week before I finally got checked. And when the nurse got the results, she told me, "I wish I had better news for you, but you need to go to the emergency room now." My platelet count had dropped so low that I was at risk of spontaneous internal bleeding, which could kill me. In the emergency room, I received a platelet transfusion as a rescue therapy, which was great, except that donated platelets only last about a week, and since my immune system was in kill mode, my timer was ticking faster. So I needed a long-term solution fast. Since immunotherapy failed to cure me, my doctor decided to try a different strategy, a medicine that will help me make platelets faster than I can destroy them. So when I went to the pharmacy to pick up my prescription, the pharmacy tech at the counter made a face. And that instantly told me that she saw something outrageous on her computer screen. she reluctantly told me that my medication cost about $10,000 a month, and my insurance will not cover any of it, not one penny. I was confused because I was pretty sure that my insurance plan covered name brand medications. The tech told me that I'll have to work things out with the insurance company. So I called the insurance company, and they told me that my doctor could file a prior authorization. So my doctor did, only for it to be denied. In the meantime, my platelet count was dropping. So my doctor put me on high-dose steroids as a stopgap while negotiations with the insurance company ensued. Now, these are not the kind of steroids that make your muscles big. I wish, right? But these are the kinds of steroids that paralyze the immune system and come with all manner of side effects, which for me were extreme headaches, difficulty sleeping, and swinging between manic and depressive episodes, just to name a few. Now, to add to that, my doctor and I were not at all thrilled about putting me on these steroids, knowing that taking high doses for too long could damage my eyes, weaken my bones, and put me at risk for infections. My immunosuppressed state forced me to stop volunteering at the free clinic, and with no end in sight to the insurance battle, I had to back out of the clinical rotation that I had long been looking forward to. And navigating this bureaucratic system became what felt like a stressful full-time job, which threw my research plans out the window. My doctor appealed the denial, but the insurance company didn't budge. In the meantime, I tried to apply for a discount through the manufacturer of the medication, only to be told that I don't qualify due to a policy change that took effect just a few months prior. The last-ditch effort to get insurance to pay was to request a formulary exception on the basis of medical necessity. And after a dizzying back and forth, the insurance company finally wrote, "Your benefit contract does not provide exceptions, and although your provider feels this medication is necessary, it is a contract exclusion, and medical necessity is not a factor in our decision to deny coverage." The holidays last year were unlike any other. My ER visit was the Friday before Thanksgiving, the day before my mom's birthday. I spent Thanksgiving week in quarantine with instructions to return to the emergency room if I started bleeding again. Next up was Christmas. While others were thinking about holiday parties and gifts, I was stuck in quarantine just trying to find a way to stay alive. On Christmas Eve, lo and behold, I found several parcels at my doorstep. The insurance company had sent me multiple denial letters and a printed copy of my formulary, which together stacked thicker than my medical board exam prep book. So, how in the world did this happen? Well, it turns out that the plan name on my insurance card was not the plan that I actually had, which misled my care team and me into thinking that my medication should be covered when in fact, it was not. Now, the insurance company had plenty of empty space on my card to put the name of my plan, but they didn't, and they could have saved us a lot of time by being transparent from the beginning, but they made sure to give us the runaround. Prior authorization, denied. Multiple appeals, denied. Formulary exception request, denied. 19 days of phone calls, faxes, and emails, accomplishing nothing. 19 days that my care team could have spent taking care of other patients. 19 days that I could have spent serving my community. 19 days of suffering, uncertainty, and lost opportunities. I felt helpless. My own immune system, once my trusted protector, became my greatest threat. And this internal betrayal mirrored a disturbing external reality. The US healthcare system, which I myself am a part of, is ostensibly designed to protect and heal, but it fails the very people who are the most vulnerable. It was then that it dawned on me that I was dealing with not one, but two diseases. One biological, the other bureaucratic, but both of them dangerous. So, how am I still here? Well, it's not because of the insurance company. They stood by their denial to the very end. But let me tell you how I'm actually still here. Out of desperation, I shared my story on social media. And one of my classmates asked me if he could share my story and start a GoFundMe, and with nothing else to lose, I let him. Soon afterward, the local media helped to spread my story, and the story went viral, and support started flowing in from all around the world. It brought me to tears seeing my classmates' names among the list of donors, knowing that they chipped in even if they're just as strapped for cash as I am. My classmates' GoFundMe allowed me to get my first month's supply of the medication, and my dad's employer, IAC, ensured that I get a continued supply. It is because of the kindness of many people, both friends and strangers, that I'm still alive today. But let me be honest with you. This experience left me wondering whether choosing the medical profession was a mistake. My experience is not an isolated incident. Thousands of other patients suffer in uncertainty and sometimes even die as their care teams sink countless hours into navigating jungles of red tape. Medical advances are nothing but false hope unless patients can access them. And what's the point of dedicating my prime of life to understanding the nuances of diagnosing and treating diseases if a single word from an insurance company can keep my work from having any impact on my patient's health? It was then that I realized that choosing the medical profession was not a mistake, as broken as our healthcare system is. At the time, I just didn't fully understand yet what it means to be a doctor. You see, doctors don't just diagnose diseases and prescribe treatments. They advocate so their patients can access those treatments. And the truth is, individual healing is inextricably linked to the health of the broader system. But here's the thing. These lessons aren't just for me. They're for all of us. The way that my community rallied together to save my life showed me that true care extends beyond the clinic. And advocacy isn't just a job reserved for lawyers or politicians. It's a responsibility we all share. It's about fighting for access and accountability and looking out for one another to make sure that the protector never becomes the predator. Thank you.